Hello. Uh, this is my script, and this is being recorded on my DS. In the recent months, I've been left with a lot of time on campus. I can do all the homework possible, practice my instruments until it hurts, and I'll still have anywhere from an hour to 20 minutes to kill. I used to spend that amount of time flipping through TikTok or Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts. You get the idea. But that would kill my attention span, and I often would not feel happy or relaxed while doing these things. So one day I busted into my old DS case, and I took out my old 3DS XL, ordered some parts, I replaced the joystick, the outer shells, got a new stylus, and I loaded it with custom firmware. Since then, I have been so much more attentive, entertained, and satisfied with the new library of games I can dig into with the flip of a screen and a push of a few buttons. I'm here to tell you why the 3DS is the standout choice in on-the-go gaming compared to the Switch and smartphones. That's it, right? It is it. That is it. On to the video.
The 3DS's dual screens are an ingenuitive way to make handheld gaming accessible. In some games, having one screen act as a map or information display allows the player to see info easily and prevents them from pausing the game or navigating menus to view this information multiple times. It also might help keeping subtitles separate from gameplay. 3D functionality, while gimmicky, provides an even more immersive way to experience games. Some titles, like Kid Icarus Uprising, make this function within gameplay, which is a neat touch. Its compact clamshell design allows for easy transport, and its small size makes long playtimes comfortable. I've only had to replace my joystick because I was a dumb kid and ripped the gray cover off of mine for absolutely zero reason. Replacing this piece was extremely easy, however. In fact, the joystick is probably the easiest piece to replace. Anyway, keeping up with the pros on this system, this console's library is one of the most diverse in gaming.
Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, regular show.
This game you need to have. If you have a DS, you need to have the new Super Mario Brothers.
Ocarina of Time 3D, Angry Birds Trilogy,
Resident Evil Revelations,
Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story.
and you can't have a Nintendo handheld without the Zelda games.
Magical Star Sign,
Next game is Lego Batman,
Pokemon Heart Gold, one of my personal favorite games on the DS. WALL-E,
Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith.
Penguins of Madagascar.
The next game is a dumb game that I got at a flea market, Napoleon Dynamite. It's awful.
Idiot!
There's plenty of ports and remakes made for this console, and a slew of legendary games original to the hardware. All these games vary from RPGs, to platformers, to shooters. And most, if not all of these games support a pick-up and play style. This is huge. A lot of times, gaming on the go is really only done for anywhere between 20 minutes to an hour. Games that support pick-up and play will usually offer easily accessible saving, whether that's auto-saving, making save points easier to reach, or giving quick save options for if players need to put the game away quickly. If you decide to install custom firmware on your device, there's an amazing program called the H-Shop that preserves everything that was once available in the Nintendo eShop pre-Day of Reckoning. You can also play DS-ROMs directly from your SD card or back up any game cards you may have. Emulators are also available for download once you have custom firmware if you prefer to emulate. The Switch's library of games is arguably one of the greatest, but because the games for it are designed as they would be for a home console, often titles do not feel very pick up and play. Sure, you can pick Breath of the Wild up, run a temple, and then put it down, but where's the fun in that when there's such a vast, immersive open world to explore? It's much easier to run 1 or 2 missions in Kid Icarus Uprising or Kingdom Hearts 358 Days Over 2, for example, because the hub areas of those games are flat and boring and act as a natural stopping point in gameplay. The Switch's handheld design is a bit awkward due to the long screen in the middle of controls. If the screen wasn't so long, it wouldn't feel so odd. The Switch Lite offers a solution to this with a smaller build, but if your joystick starts to drift, you'll have to take the whole console apart to replace it. The mobile gaming market is huge and unusual. Here, you can find arcade-style games, card games, console-grade titles, ports of classic games, and a whole lot more. Even Nintendo has moved to creating games for phones, and some companies like Square Enix have been doing it since mobile phones became a daily utility. However, playing games on a smartphone leaves a lot to be desired. The size of the display, and its shared domain with game controls, breaks immersion, and that breakage focuses more intensely based on how immersive the title is meant to be, or what console the game may have been originally designed for. For some games, being on a smartphone works quite well. For others, there's no point in playing on your phone when you can play the same title on a device with the dedicated hardware and physical buttons to cater to gameplay. Since we use our phones frequently, the pick up and play concept is lost. The hardware we're picking up to play is something we pick up all the time. Think about it like this. You only turn your 3DS on to play games, but you turn your phone on to do just about anything. Whether that's playing games, scrolling through Instagram, or clicking the subscribe button and liking this video. The more intensive the game is to your phone, the more the games drain battery, and if you play games on your phone, you might be more inclined to start scrolling on another app when you're bored of waiting for attack animations to finish. Any 3DS system is fairly recent enough to get for a good price, but the recent closure of the Nintendo eShop is toying with those prices at the time of this upload. The new 3DS XL runs for around $350, and a Switch will cost around $300. The 3DS may be a bit more, but the compendium of games available on the 3DS overtakes the Switch by a landslide. Ports that are made for Switch cost full price with little to no differences to the source game. On 3DS, most ports end up becoming remakes from the ground up, sometimes overhauling gameplay to run properly on the hardware. When it comes to virtual console titles, the Switch has been disappointing when held up to the other Nintendo consoles of yore. This is mainly because of its subscription-based system. On the Switch, emulation is a microtransaction. You have to pay $20 a year to play NES, SNES, and Game Boy titles. You have to pay $50 a year to add on Nintendo 64, Game Boy Advance, and Sega Genesis titles. Keep in mind, Nintendo curates this selection of games, so effectively what you're paying for is a Netflix equivalent of whatever console you might be emulating. The 3DS can run all of the consoles offered on the Switch Virtual Console smoothly except Nintendo 64. But there are 7 remakes of Nintendo 64 games accessible on the platform. The new 3DS XL has the best processing power in the DS family, so if you're gonna get a new one, go big. This will pay off, as the new 3DS has a lot more optimizations and quality of life features not present in the original model. Oh, also, phone prices vary. If you want the newest iPhone, for example, crank out over $800. You could also get a free upgrade of whatever phone you might have now through your cell plan. That's also granted you don't already have one in your pocket, or in your face, or playing this video in the background as you play games, or drive, or try to sleep. Can you just finish the video already? Sorry. With all of this being said, credit must be given where it's due. The Nintendo Switch's hardware is a beautiful combination of all the innovative ideas Nintendo has been toying with since even the GameCube. If you really don't mind playing for hours at a time, or the awkward length of the screen in your hands, this is an amazing choice. Games like Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey, and Animal Crossing New Horizons are well executed and shine in an industry clouded with unfinished products and atrocities. Lots of party titles also open the door to include your friends on the action, and turn your personal experience into a shared experience. Plus, it all hooks up as a console when you get home, so you can shift play seamlessly from the small screen to the big one once you've gotten home from a long day. While some games may not be outwardly pick up and play, titles in the Virtual Console are extremely friendly to this idea, with the use of suspend points that hold the emulation at one specific frame so you can save your place and walk away. It should also be said that you can hack your Switch as well and load it with custom firmware. And if you decide to do that, you can open your device to a somewhat similar library of games that the 3DS can run. But the Switch does not have 2 screens like the DS does. This makes the 3DS the best option for playing any games available for its family. Moving to the mobile game market, mobile games are freakishly accessible. As mentioned before, there is also a noticeable trend in mobile games that are on par with console-level titles, and ports of classic titles are on the rise too. If you don't mind the gacha-style gameplay, you can sit down and play Genshin Impact, which has mechanics similar to Breath of the Wild, Bleach, Brave Souls, which carries you through the entire story of the franchise, or other titles with similar scopes. I am most excited for Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, which will be similar to the Bleach game in that it will carry you through the entire Final Fantasy VII anthology in one game with, I believe, a bonus chapter where you play as Sephiroth. That is very exciting news. However, when it comes to on-the-go play, these pros pale in comparison to the list of cons, and the 3DS, being designed to play video games on the go exclusively for any span of time, cleans up shop with the other two. From a library, gameplay, and hardware standpoint, the 3DS sends the Nintendo Switch and mobile gaming to the Shadow Realm with the choices and possibilities for players. So go ahead, wipe the dust off that 3DS, get a nice beefy SD card, and start cranking away. You won't regret it. Welcome to the end of the video. I'd like to give credit to Super E4 Nitro and J2.OE for allowing me to use their collection videos for that super duper funny skit. I'll link both those videos in the description below. I'd also like to talk about how when I asked these guys permission to use their videos, they responded with very, very similar answers, almost verbatim to each other, and it's pretty creepy, and I'm pretty sure they're both robots or the same person. Can't figure that out right now. I'm also going to include a link that walks you through how to hack your 3DS. It is amazing what people have done to keep this console thriving posthumously 10 years after launch. Thanks for watching. This is my first YouTube endeavor, so I hope to be back with more, and peace.